What's up guys, welcome back to Scarab City, my Egyptian style city within PlanetCoaster. Now in the previous episode, about 2 days ago, we started work on the exterior of the Egyptian style city in this park. This is the same park where I have placed my pyramid ride skin for the sundial flat ride. If you haven't seen that build video, I would recommend go check it out. It's pretty cool, and the link will be in the description for that flat ride if you want to download the ride skin. But in today's episode, we are continuing on with some more of the internals to this area of the park. There's a lot of stuff I want to get done within the next couple of episodes in this. There's loads of ideas that I kind of have in my head right now with how I want to take this kind of Egyptian style city. Now, like I said in the previous episode, I haven't really done much in the past with the kind of Egyptian style, and I'm still kind of working out how I'm going to get this stuff done to the best of my ability, hopefully. But in today's episode, we're going to be working on a brand new ride skin for a brand new flat ride, because I do want some more flat rides in there. Probably maybe 2 or 3 flat rides total, and then we're going to be working on some roller coasters. So as you guys can probably see on the screen right now, we do have the Gears of Fear flat ride, and this is going to be the ride that I'm going to be customizing today to fit into the Egyptian Scarab City. Now, as you can see, the other ride right next to it, it was kind of a mix up between which one I wanted to go with, the kind of classic that just spins around, or the Gears of Fear style ride that has an option to like tilt and twist itself. Now this ride has more objects on here that I kind of would have to cover up, but I just feel like the more gritty nuts and bolt kind of style of this ride was more what I wanted to go for. So this was the one that I decided to choose, and this is what we're going to be working on today. So when going into this build, I wanted to kind of take the same approach I had done when I started building my Egyptian pyramid originally. So I went with the same sort of style and used my windows to get the kind of texture of the brick that I wanted to use for this build. Now, as you'll see in the next couple of minutes, I am actually building an exterior wall to the back end of the Gears of Fear ride here to kind of give a more closed in, I guess you would say, claustrophobic ride. I wanted it to feel like you were brushing right up to the backside of this ride, much like the inside of the pyramid itself. As you guys can see, I am using these windows here. They have a really nice texture to them, and they kind of look sandy. Now, I've never been to Egypt myself, so I don't know what the actual pyramids are made of, whether they're like sandstone or whatever they are, but they kind of look sandy or gritty kind of from the pictures that I have seen. So that was the kind of design that I was going for with this. So this is pretty much the same, well, actually it is exactly the same color as the brick, the window color that I used for the pyramids as well. But yeah, this gives a really nice kind of texture to this, and it looks a lot brick-like. So that was why I went for this, and as you can see, this backside wall is coming together. Now, I used the same approach to this as I did when I was building the pyramid. Let the machine run, or let the ride run, and every time you put in a new piece, just make sure that nothing touches, make sure nothing clips. It may look like it takes a long time, but it really doesn't. You just got to make sure that nothing is clipping through, nothing's dangerous or going to be obstructed by anything. And within like 10-15 minutes, this back wall was complete and it was in, and that was probably the hardest part of this build. Now, once this wall was complete, as you'll see in a couple of minutes, at this point, it's just down to glorifying and getting the design of this ride in, because the hardest part, like I said, this wall is the hardest part, getting this in, making sure nothing touches. The next part of this build is just to come up with a really nice design for this flat ride. So that is what I tried to do. So once that back wall was complete, the next thing on the list to try and get done was actually I wanted to hide some of the internal workings of the ride itself. Now, like I mentioned at the beginning, it was a toss-up between this ride and the more classic version of this machine, or this flat ride should I say. Now, the reason I chose this one was just for the more gritty style and look of this ride. However, some of the stuff I wanted to keep hidden, so it didn't really bring forward too much of that. And also, I do just prefer the way that this ride runs. I think the way that it can twist and turn, it is a little bit more what I was going for. So some of the stuff has to go, unfortunately. So I wanted to build these kind of side pillars. I don't really know what to call them. They're more like buildings that have pillars in them, or they're held up by pillars. So that is what we're currently building right now. Once again, I did go for the same sort of design with these windows to give it an overall similar style to everything else that I've built so far in the Egyptian style park. Now, as you can see, we have 3 pillars here, and these will be decorated a little bit more later on in today's episode, as you will see a little bit later on. But I wanted these to go on either side. Now, there was a lot of machinery on this ride that, like I mentioned, I wanted to kind of have a little bit more hidden. So these are going to go right up to the main structure of the ride that actually holds the pivot points for the ride itself. So these will be kind of on the exterior of that. So that will be enclosed inside this. Now I'm going to actually use these in 4 places in these ride. I think I may have overused this one piece a little bit too much, but at the end of this I think it really does come together quite nicely and it works out okay. If I did this ride skin again, I probably maybe would have done this a little bit differently, but like you will see, these do get placed in 4 different places in this ride. Okay, so as you can see, the 4 pillars are now in place. Like I previously mentioned, I think I may have overused these pillars just a little bit. You guys will have to let me know in the comment section once you've finished the rest of this video, whether you like the way that I've actually overused these. Personally, I think I should have come up with maybe a second design for one of these pillars to have at the back of the ride. But I kind of like the finished product of this ride anyway, so I'm going to go with it. I'm going to keep it the way that it is. But okay, so those 4 pillars are now in place, as you can see. So the next thing on the list to get done is finishing up. Not finishing up completely, but just finishing up some of the finer details of this ride. So there are things like cogs out the back that are spinning that I want to hide, because we're going to leave the ones at the front, but the ones at the back I want to get rid of, cover up. So the end pieces of the wall here I am covering up. They do actually end up getting extended a little bit in just a minute. I changed my mind. Which is fine to do. If you're building something and you've done something and it's kind of not sitting right with you, go back in, change it, switch it up, find a better option, find a better way to do something. And 9 times out of 10, once you've switched it up, once you've chosen to do something different, maybe a second or a third time, it will click and you'll be a lot more happy with actually changing it than sitting on the design you wasn't 100% confident with originally. So that is what I did. I saw that I wasn't quite happy with something, so I went back in and I changed it. I switched it up a little bit, and second time round it was a lot more close to the, I guess you could say, vision in my head of what I wanted this ride to be. So that is not a problem. Like I said, if something isn't sitting right with you, make sure you go in, change it, fix it up. Even if it turns out that it was better originally, you can always go back to that. Make a save before you change anything, and then you can always revert back to that at a later date if something you've changed isn't the way that you thought it was going to turn out, and it's not a problem. So as you can see, I'm just fixing up a little bit of these problems right now. I'm extending this wall like I just mentioned, filling in some of the gaps. There was a lot of stuff back here that I wanted hidden. Like I said, the cogs, there's way too many cogs down the back here. So just in general, this section of the build was just finishing up a few loose ends, making sure that the wall itself connected properly with the extension of these pillared builds that I put in on either side, making sure everything fit together, making sure there's no gaps or cracks anywhere, just filling things in that need to be filled in. And that is about it for this section of the build. And once this was complete, we moved on to the back side of the ride. Now, I didn't want to just leave this open because maybe guests will be walking around the back of this ride, who knows, but I wanted to make sure everything was enclosed, make sure there was no places that people shouldn't see with this ride. So making sure the back side of this wall was filled in as well is really important to me. I like to make sure that all angles of all of my builds are covered, whether it be a backstage area or just covering everything in so guests can't see the operations of a ride or being able to see something they shouldn't be able to see. The worst thing is going to a park and losing your immersion from seeing something that you shouldn't be able to see. Maybe it's like an open door and you can see backstage or something like that. We don't want any of that, so making sure the back of this ride is complete, even if people aren't going to be able to see it. I always like to make sure that it is done because I will be uploading this to the workshop if anyone's interested in it anyway. So I don't know whether someone in the future will use this and have the backside visible to guests. So making sure that is all okay is great. So at this point we are actually nearing the end of the journey with this ride build. It's been moved into its final destination, or its final resting place should I say, within the walls of the Egyptian Scarab City. So the last things that I wanted to do with this ride was just finish off the scenery, finish off the theming for this. Now when I first built this I didn't really know what the general theme of this was going to be. But because I ended up leaving a lot of these cogs at the front and a lot of the chains and stuff like that, I wanted it to kind of be a discovered, more sophisticated kind of alien race Egyptian. There's a lot of people that have theories about the pyramids being built by aliens, so I guess I'm kind of catering to that kind of theme with this ride. So this is kind of like an ancient civilization that maybe had help from an Egyptian counterpart somewhere down the line. So there's going to be interior blue lighting in this ride and a lot of blue lights around this. There will be some lasers that will be incorporated into this a little bit later on, and you'll see that in just a few minutes. So what you can see right now is just me going in with a few little reeds, plants, making the thing look a little bit run down. So this is something that you've stumbled upon. You found some ancient relics of a tomb, or maybe whatever this happens to be. And the ride itself maybe was some machinery that was left behind by these aliens. So I'm just kind of giving you guys a little bit of an idea of where this theming is going, with its kind of like overrun kind of theme. This has been left behind thousands of years ago and it's been discovered. So why not step on and take a ride and see if you trust it with your life. But there we go, that is what I'm going with this theming. So as you can see, we're kind of muddying it up a little bit, making it a little bit dirty, putting some dried out plants and some reeds and, you know, creepy crawlies around the place. So yeah, just in general adding loads and loads of plants. So as you can see, I did put some blue engine thrusters inside the wall itself. Now when I built the back wall itself, I left little gaps to make it look like they were bricks that had been placed on top of each other, similar to what I did with the pyramid. But what I did with the pyramid is I had a black 3D object behind it, so you couldn't see between the gaps. I actually left the gaps in this one purposely so I could put those lights in there and they would shine through. So that is why I did that. And yeah, we are coming really close to the end of this build. I will add a little bit of footage at the end of this, of me actually on the ride and just watching the ride, so you guys can get a better feel of what this ride looks like while it's actually in motion. And we are pretty much done. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. We kind of went back to our old kind of commentating style with this video, so you guys have to let me know in the comments if you prefer this style or the more music based time-lapse style. I've done quite a bit of editing on this video, so you don't have to sit through a lot of the nonsense that happens in a time-lapse. I've kind of cut that out and left you guys with only the good bits. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. If you did, like I said, let me know in the comment section. If you're new here, remember to leave a like, feel free to subscribe, and I'll be back within the next few days with the next update of the Egyptian Scarab City Park, and I'll see you guys then. So thank you for watching. Enjoy the ride.